I would, but you know what I would do? I wouldn't just stop. I would pull in front of the car that was stopped and get off onto the shoulder. This car literally stopped in the middle of Highway 7.
Oh, geez.
It's about the idler. I was caught behind a guy who was literally, his blinkers on, just idled the entire way down 7.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And actually, I got lucky. There was a truck couldn't make it up the hill at St. Bonnie.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
somebody was saying, yeah, that a 92, because of that hill. You were saying that, right?
Yeah, that's
You have to get a really good running start.
like,
And I kept being in his cars. I'm like, you don't drive. Why are you out right now? Like, why? Where could you possibly need to be going?
I drove our truck in 4-wheel high. I was smart enough not to take my little tiny Mazda, you know, with my high performance summer tires on it. Yes, right.
When I lived in Dallas for 13 years, it would snow and I would literally be the only one in Morgan Stanley. Like, what is wrong with you? They're like, what are you doing here? Like, there's a half an inch of snow on the ground.
All right, so we're going to start now for the fire department budget. Is anybody going to be here for that? Is Eric going to be here?
No, so that's just an item where we look at, there's an
Yeah.
overage, so no,
Okay.
it's.
That's fine. All right, so we're going to start. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the February 18th Minnetrista City Council work session, and it is 5:06. We are starting late, but just for the record, it is snowing out and the roads are horrific. They're very bad. So today, this evening, I'm Lisa Whalen, the mayor. Also, council members present are Kathleen Refkin, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, and Brian Govern. And then we also have Jasper Krugel and Brian Grimm and Paula Bauman. Right? I got all the names right. All right. So with that, we have 3 things on our agenda for the work session. We have a lift assist billing ordinance, and then we have a water bill adjustment request and discussion on a policy. And then we have the St. Bonnie Fire Department budget reconciliation request. So we're going to start with the lift assist, and I'm going to hand that over to.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. This is an item that kind of came up through our fire advisory committee meeting at Mound. And we talk a lot about lift assists and how much they actually cost the fire department to do. And in Minnetrista, we don't have many. But cities like Spring Park have quite a few if they have a senior facility. And one of the things that was shared at a meeting was this ordinance from Maple Plain. Now, a little bit about this ordinance, it maybe isn't the right, if we want to pursue something, isn't really the right thing for us. It's more centered on senior living facilities or senior assisted living facilities. But the city, we can, if we choose to, we can form that ordinance however we want. So it could be for residential. I know that we've talked a little bit about maybe there's a certain amount of lift assist that you don't charge for residential, property. If we do get assisted living facilities here at some point, we can always adjust the ordinance or actually build it in with the current ordinance. If we just say, well, if it's an assisted living facility, you get charged. If it's a residence, for example, you could say the first 3 or first 5 in any annual year are free. And then after that, we charge a certain amount. So really what I wanted to do is just provide that ordinance from a community in our area that has something on the books for these lift assists. And then engage with city council about discussion if we want to pursue something like this.
Okay.
Is Mound or St. Bonnie considering things like that? Because it seems like that's where our expenses right now with the joint, with them covering us.
I think they're looking at it. I think Spring Park's looking at it. And Spring Park and Mound are the ones that have the most lift assists in our area. And they're both looking at the same thing. I don't know where they're at in the process or if they've decided to pursue it or not. But, the billing piece is probably the most challenging part because we have to wait to get a report from Mound.
Close that door. Thank you.
I think Gary's out there talking too. But we have to wait, we'd have to get a monthly report from each agency. So and then we'd send out a bill ourselves and then they would likely submit that to insurance. And then there's a process for that. And it might take a month or 45 days or longer to have them respond. So it logistically, it's another thing if we would actually start billing, but right now there's not enough really in Minnetrista that would trigger anything. We don't have any assisted living facilities here right now currently. And I got a report from Mound and St. Bonnie. The most that we've had as far as, frequent flyer lift assists in Minnetrista have in a given year. So,
But not all the same.
no, yes, all the same residents. Yep,
okay,
yep.
okay.
And I talked to Chief Peterson and our chief squires here about it. And it's usually elderly folks that are kind of staying at home maybe a little too long. And then that is the driver while they find care somewhere else.
Right.
So.
Okay.
From the discussions at Mound Fire, and this all stems from Mound Fire, not the St. Bonnie discussions, it's a big issue, not just with the senior living facility, with as Jasper said, the people that are staying in their homes past when they should be, and they call them frequent flyers. I think it's good for us to be proactive and have something on the books for it. I don't think it would be an issue to have one for residents if they call more than 5 times in a year that they start paying for them. I mean, everyone can get hurt. I've had to call for a lift assist. I couldn't walk down my steps because of my back. So, I get it. But if it's a continual issue where you shouldn't be living at home, I think we should be billing, and then they can run it through their insurance or whatever the case may be. And then having one on the books just for if we do ever have assisted living facility seems like a good move.
Then it's already there.
Then it's there and we're not targeting them after the fact.
Yeah.
I thought I read in the material that excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Okay. That these facilities are supposed to be able.
They're supposed to,
But
right?
they still call, it sounds like.
Yeah, they don't have the staffing.
Okay.
And then the police respond and the police call fire because they know fire has all the people and the equipment to do the lifts.
Because sometimes one person might not be able to lift them or whatever.
I think it's a good idea. I experienced that with my parents where they fell in their community and got to know the EMT people. And it was.
You again.
My mom really liked them, but it did factor into finally getting them to be able, to agree to move to assisted living where they were much safer. So I think it's probably a good idea to limit, to have like
1 to
free
5 or
ones
something, yeah, free.
I called the facility in Spring Park, Presbyterian Homes, and I asked them, I know they have 3 levels of care there.
Right.
And the woman that I spoke to said, everybody thinks if someone from the fully independent living falls, we can just go get someone from the assisted, and we cannot. It's not a staff thing. They can't do it. They have to call 911 or they have to call the fire department. So that was one thing I thought was interesting. And then another thing within Mound, one of their frequent families that needs assistance lived on the 3rd floor of the Grandview Apartments. The owner of the building doesn't live in Minnesota. He doesn't care so much about the building. And for months, the elevator was out of service. I think that should be something where we find the owner of a building, because the firefighters.
We don't have that here.
Well, but if you have an apartment building and they've got to walk up 3 floors, carry someone down 3 floors repeatedly, that's an issue. I don't know where we address that, or if
That'd be
we.
so-
But lift assist is basically, they don't necessarily get an ambulance to take them
They're
to the
just
hospital.
picking them up.
They're just picking them up.
Okay.
Yeah, like they fell out of bed, they couldn't
Yeah,
get off
they
the
couldn't-
toilet, they couldn't get out of their shower. They're not hurt, they don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
They just need help getting back into their chair or bed
These
or
guys are
whatever.
still running up.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right, right.
And then my second or my third point would be, are most of these people, like Peter was saying, sometimes they're staying a little bit too long in a situation they shouldn't be in. Is that because of financial reasons? And then how billing them, are they
Well,
gonna-
it would go through insurance or,
do we think they have insurance?
well,
Well,
it's,
I don't know that, that the Medicare pays for lift assist. That's the thing. I'm pretty sure they don't.
Mhm.
And so,
So is the ordinance a moot point? I don't know.
but nonetheless, if they're living at home because they can't afford assisted living, I get that. but then they also don't have the expense of assisted living. So maybe after 5 calls, they're going to say, okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to call a relative, or I'm going to have to pay.
I thought that what I read in the packet, it showed for the first through the 5th call, there was a charge.
Well, we can change
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can change that.
Too, yeah.
That was Maple Plains, and that was also for the facility. So Maple Plains only addresses for the senior assisted living facilities, but our ordinance could say for residential properties, it's 0 cost 1 to 5 a year. For assisted living, maybe they get, I don't know how you would do it, but maybe then they would be charged.
Yeah. You could follow this ordinance. I mean, if
Yeah.
you, for assist, you could have 2 different sections, if I may. One section for residential properties and one for assisted living facilities, even though we don't have any. And you could have different fee schedules for each one. So you could follow what kind of Maple Plain has here.
Would there be any question, I guess, so here's a couple questions. How does this work if our ordinance is different than, let's say, what Mound eventually does? And, does it matter? Will they be able to figure out who gets billed?
Well, we have to figure that out. We're the one that would be doing the billing.
Okay.
So it would be
All right,
us
so we'll-
sending an invoice to whoever it is. We'd get the report from Mound.
Okay,
So the ordinances wouldn't have to match up.
okay. And then the other question I would have is, would it seem unfair that if you live in a residential home versus if you live in an assisted living facility, that you get charged? I mean,
Yeah, if
I'm
they
just
were
wondering.
living without any assistance, like you were talking about.
Well, they were they were happy to speak with us or with me and say, in this fully independent living, it's just like you're living away from.
right.
Seems
Well, we
like
could do
this
like-
independent living should.
You have a higher standard of care.
You could do like 3 or more, so everyone gets 2 calls, no matter where you live. And then after that, then it's an issue.
Yeah, I like 3.
We could
You get 3
You
strikes.
just have one ordinance, not differentiating between the 2. Yeah.
The only question I have is, so when you say not differentiating, but let's say it's an assisted living and they have 50 people living there, is it 3 calls or is it 150 calls?
150.
Because is it per person or
Per
per
person.
per person then? So you'd have to be able to segregate that. I mean,
And-
just saying.
We could differentiate between the 2 and define what residential means, and we could have that be part of, if you live in an independent living community, but you don't have the ability to have lift assist, that would fall under the residential
Okay.
too. So you could form it in that manner. We just, we don't have an assisted living facility yet, but like they're pretty regulated and there's clear boundaries in each of the areas.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we could look at it that way. And honestly, the fire department would know better than anybody as far as where they're working at. And,
Mhm.
they work with Presbyterian homes very closely. They've had a lot of meetings with them one-on-one to try to figure out this lift assist thing with them, just so
And
they don't
there's
get called as much.
another one in Mound, what is it called?
One like on the corner there.
No, it's on the,
Harrelson.
Harrison Bay.
thank you. That's also it's 3 stages. Mhm.
And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
So if I may, if we want to, we're kind of just spitballing some ideas right now. If we want to look at an ordinance in the future, I kind of need a little guidance as far as framework, and then we can develop something and bring it forward for probably another work session to see if it's what we like. There's no real urgency here, but it's just kind of an ongoing project that we could work on. It seems like there's maybe some appetite to move forward with something.
Sure, might as well now versus later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
And we can always change the framework however we want, but I kind of just need a couple
So-
ideas on what you like and what you'd like to see in the future
but
ordinance.
residential and or not non-assisted living. What do you call them?
Independent living.
Independent. So residential and independent living would be 1 to 3 or 1 to 4? What?
3.
I say
3.
3.
Yeah.
1 to 3, no charge. After the, in a calendar year, after that, it's $250. And then for assisted living, it would be 0 to 3, then would be $250. I'm just throwing something out. And then after that, maybe use
Yeah, I
Maple
mean, I like
Plains.
Maple Plains.
Maple Plains.
Breakdown.
Just use Maple Plains for the assisted living facilities. So for the, back to the residential, so just for the tiers, we have 1 to 3 and then 4 to 6? Or what are you thinking for the next tier?
4 to 8.
4 to 8, and then would you charge like 250 per call then? You can kind of follow the.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
Right, it would shift down, 250.
yep, I got
And
you.
then over 8, it would be 500.
Yep,
If you have 8 calls in a year,
so then the next tier would just be greater than 8,
yeah,
would be 500 per.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, and
All right.
then assisted will follow the Maple Plain ordinance.
Right, 1 to 5, 250, 6 to 8, yeah.
Do you
Okay.
know, is Spring Park following the Maple Plain one? Is that their plan?
I know they were gonna look at it. I don't know if they passed anything yet, but I think we might be the first city that's kind of looking at it. It was, I think, given to us at the November meeting or the last meeting of the year, last year,
Mhm.
October.
Okay, all right. And maybe in the meantime, maybe Spring Park and our Mound will come up with a draft of theirs
Yep.
that we could take a look at. All right,
Yeah, I'll throw something together here. Let's see, we're in February, maybe April. I can get
Okay.
a draft, something like that. Unless you want it sooner, we could do it in March, but we have,
it's not urgent.
yeah,
I mean,
okay,
You'd want to implement it Jan 1 anyway.
Yeah.
now,
sure.
in the fall calendar year.
Okay. And then we have the water bill adjustment.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, we discussed this at the February 2nd meeting. I think we only had 3 individuals here at that meeting, and Mr. Christians came and kind of talked about the request, which then spurred an idea to evaluate a potential policy. From a staff perspective, right now, we don't have any discretion to adjust water bills or any utility bills. What the policy does is kind of gives a little framework for a bill adjustment. We'd prefer to keep any bill adjustments out of our hands and more into the hands of City Council, just because then there's a framework. And this is the situation that this was developed in Le Sueur is a little bit different than the one here. It was more related to a trailer park and a water service line than like a water softener, I think was the situation here. So it's just, an example of a policy and maybe some framework that we could use if we choose to. So there's a couple things on the table, a couple questions I think we need to have answered. One is related to Mr. Christian's bill reduction request. And number 2 is if we want to look at adopting a policy that's similar to the one that's in the packet. We'd likely make some adjustments to it based on City Council feedback. So we do have Gary here. I think we were going to have Mark here, who's our in-house plumber, but he's out plowing snow now. So, to answer any questions, about what may have happened. So, and we obviously have Mr. Christians here too.
So I'm going to say something. We need to have if we decide we are going to give credits, then we need to have a policy in place, because otherwise it's willy-nilly. Now, having said that, I don't think that we should have a policy that gives credit for faulty fixtures. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, again, you can disagree with me, that's fine. But when you think about it, when I talk about fixtures, I mean, it could be a running toilet. It could be a water softener. It could be a leaky faucet. It could be irrigation malfunction. I mean, there's so many things that could be, if you will, labeled fixtures. And then we have to consider, if you do this, then how many more requests are you going to get? And how are you going to prove that it was the city's fault, or it was, let's say, negligence on the homeowner's part, or just a bad luck? I mean, so it's a really, really difficult situation. I understand that, but it's also a slippery slope. And then once you do it, as you know, Bob, as you know, sitting on the council, once you do it for one person, the next person comes forward and says the same thing. And then all of a sudden, now we're giving multiple thousands and thousands of dollars a year to credit to people. We need to be very, very careful how we move forward on this. So for sure, we need to have a policy in place if we're going to do anything. One of the things I would suggest, if we do a policy, it can clearly state that if it's an accident such as, so I'll give you an example. My nephew and his family went on vacation in the winter. The day they left, after they left, a water line froze and broke, and they had like 100,000 gallons flood their basement. Their basement was totally, and they were gone for like 10 days. Something like that is beyond the homeowner's, how do you say, ability, if you will. You could then consider something like that. But when you have somebody, we don't have city water, so I can't tell you how many gallons it was, but we recently were gone, and somebody, a relative came to check on our house and used our toilet and flushed the toilet, and the toilet ran for 2 weeks. And so for us, I mean, I don't know how many gallons it was, but it was a lot of gallons, and I was more concerned about our septic system than our water. But, you know, so how do you justify saying, okay, well, certainly is that, I mean, and then the question is, what if you got an astronomical bill from the gas company because you had a faulty furnace? Would you go to the gas company and would they give you a credit? I mean, these are legitimate questions. I think those are just legitimate questions. So I think a policy is needed if we're going to make any kind of consideration. So I'll give you 2 minutes, Bob, or less.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to hear that this doesn't happen very often. I mean, this is.
But it will happen more frequently.
It has happened more frequently.
It will happen more frequently.
Well, I'm very happy to hear it hasn't happened in the past because, you know.
Right.
being
So
previously
Bob,
on the city council.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I really say this, but because of what happened in the over 100,000 gallons of water that ran through there, and of course I went crazy right away. What happened? That's why I called the plumber out right away. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen to a lot of different people, okay? There's a whole lot of people that have asked me.
that doesn't matter, Bob.
Whatever,
I want to
I'm just
know,
saying, or the reason-
it doesn't matter what people have said to you.
Yeah.
I want to know what your plumber said, and then we can discuss it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry it happened. I mean, I wouldn't be here. I'm really sorry it happened. And I would think that we would do something, that you can participate in something to do some
Okay.
part of some responsibility.
I understand, Bob, I really do, but we have to be careful, because as you know, a slippery slope, and everybody will, we're gonna have a lot more people in here asking for a reduction in their water bills, especially since we
Yeah.
have to raise our water rates. So, so here's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You had a significant water bill in Q3, and you had and the plumber came in and fixed it, and now you got another significant water bill in Q4.
But it's after the fact. And the other thing too.
But you got another significant water bill in Q4. Is that correct?
Well, it all pertains to one incident, the initial one. Because he fixed it but it ran for, the water bill is adjusted. In other words, it was due yesterday. I brought my checkbook. I want to pay the bill. I brought my checkbook, but I wanted to get I thought you could do something to help me with it. It's not the money, it's more the principle.
I understand, but we also understand, and we've talked to plumbers, that it couldn't possibly be the city's fault that your water softener failed or acted.
Debris that went into it, that it kept it open.
And our water softener did something very unusual too, not too long ago, and we had water all over our basement floor. And again, I didn't go, we took care of it ourselves because.
I wouldn't see it the responsibility of somebody with a pipe broke and thousands of gallons of water come in.
Bob, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. This isn't about that. I wanted to find out what happened. We know what happened. It happened in Q3 and then supposedly got fixed, but I understand that you had another water bill in Q4 that was also significant. So it's really, really hard for us to take this information and say, well, it was the water softener and it was the city's fault. And, okay, we'll give you that much. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Sit down, we're
I
not,
have my checkbook with, I would like to pay the bill because it was due yesterday.
Then pay it.
And Jasper said it would be okay if I'm a little bit late, remember?
That's
Yeah, but
fine.
I have my checkbook with me, I'd like to get it resolved and go.
okay. Then I would say pay it. And if there's a credit that we decide on, we can do that later. But if you want to pay it today, that's great. You can do that.
Well, it's due, that's why.
Okay, that's
I know
why.
it's paid it on time.
Gary, do you have any,
I have the part and Mark walked me through it, so.
okay,
Oh, good. So you did talk to me.
Well, that's Mark, my water guy. He's water softener qualified for the last 35 years.
okay,
So he keeps his license. That's his sideline business. He knows a lot about softener, so. I'm sorry, I should have printed more off, but this is the internal diagrams of everything that is in Bob's.
Wow.
Pump, in his water softener.
so,
And I'll add, Mark did talk to Bob's plumber.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, on the phone, just.
For Bob's pump too. So this is the main unit right here that was causing a problem. And what Mark said was, and he sees a lot in well water, that these seals get eaten up. You can see there's a lot of them in here.
yeah, because of the iron and manganese,
Iron, and even
yeah.
in city water, because in ours too, there's water, there's iron, and there's manganese and all that. Not so much anymore, but they used to be. But what happens is these start to break up and these are what get jammed in there. And when it gets in here, this thing lifts and these get stuck inside here. That's what holds it open. He's seen it he's seen it hundreds of times. So that's the cause. It's nothing in our water.
Bob,
It's the
Bob,
breakdown. It's
you need to sit down now. Bob, you need to sit down now. We will be done here soon and then you can talk to staff.
So it's the breakdown of mainly the seals that are going. So Mark said it's very common, I mean, that's a very common thing to replace. And he said, if you do not replace this whole inner seal in here, this whole thing comes off. If you don't replace this piston, which can wear out and groove, and you can see this one's been grooved here already. They'll eat up as much as of the seals too, so.
Where is that, like, if I'm looking at my water softener, where?
So
We
right,
we need to, I'm thinking we should.
We just replaced it.
so this is the inlets coming in
Mhm.
at the bottom. This would go down to the tank.
Okay.
And then up top here would sit the actual clock.
Oh, okay,
So this is the inside, so in between what would sit on top of the tank and your clock up there.
okay.
And then how often should you be
Well,
looking at that and
I mean,
replacing
you
it?
look and I looked it up, I mean, every, you should run cleaner through your softener to clean it.
Okay,
But Mark said, I mean, I mean, it could go 10 years, it can go 5 years, it can go a year. That kind of depends on, was it a flaw in the design, when they built, was the quality not there? Did the plumber put in a cheaper part? He said there's a lot of things that weigh into that, but I mean, it all kind of depends. It's, roll the dice how long they last. It's like anything.
mhm, okay.
As long as your car gonna last, type deal, Mark told me, so. But yeah, that's what happens when that gets stuck. And that's what holds the water open. So when that gets stuck open, water just continues to cycle through.
Okay.
So Gary, I have a question. So because Minnetrista has so much minerals in our water, this could happen to every single person on city water in Minnetrista.
Now with the treatment plant, we've eliminated a lot of it. I mean, there's not hardly, we take through the process of aeration, the iron is reduced. Manganese is taken out at the plant. You're always going to have the white residual that you see, the
Yeah.
calcium buildup.
Yeah.
You're always going to have that no
Yeah.
matter what. But as far as particles go, I mean, there's very little in our water anymore. It used to be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you looked at when we took all water meters out, replaced them, the inside was just lined with gunk.
Yeah.
But now when we put the plant online, did the major flushing at that time, we switched out meters, we do flushing twice a year. We're not seeing a problem like that, so.
And when did that go online?
That went online in 2017. It's full
March of
service.
17.
Yep, full service, so.
Yeah.
Both the north and the south. So
Well,
then
and if
Mark said
yours-
the other common problem that he sees with that he gets calls on is bridging of the salt. So in the tank where the salt is,
Oh, yeah.
it's the water comes in from the bottom to kind of, and what the salt does is help regenerate your, the mineral in the brine tank, it's the brine tank. That brine goes into the filter media, and that's what takes and cleans it out, and it discharges it. So what it does is, if you have salt, it can bridge in there so the salt doesn't drop down and keep going. And when you get that, well, now it's not cleaning. So softener saying, hey, it's not clean. It goes through another cycle and it keeps going, keeps going. That's another common problem. I had that happen in Laconia. I mean, that ran for an entire weekend I was up north. So, I mean, I've had the high water bill. So, I mean, I think I was only a weekend when I came home, I could hear it running,
Oh,
so.
Right, you can usually hear it running, yeah.
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 So, but that's the 5,600. I mean, he said, and that's the most common head out there. That is the most common head. So,
Well, I don't disagree that we need to have some kind of policy. So, and I don't think, as Jasper said, we want to put it on the shoulders of staff to make those decisions. So we could come back with a policy, but I'm very, very reluctant to say that it's going to cover fixtures unless a pipe broke or something during the winter months and you're gone. I mean, something like that might be, you could consider. But a running toilet or a running faucet, you can really rack up the gallons.
well, even a toilet running, even a running toilet will use a lot of water in a month.
It will. Yeah.
No, it's unbelievable. That's why, we were out of DiePass. We used to have them here, and we should probably get some more people just to do that. I mean, just a simple $10 flapper can save you hundreds of dollars.
Right,
So,
right.
and, and I think Brian will agree with me. I think we've had people come in. Our biggest complaint, is when the sprinklers run. So, I mean, you're going to have to deal with that if you're going to put a policy in to make sure that, hey, my sprinkler ran too long. Well, that's not our problem. So, I mean, we've had that happen several times that people have complained about that. So,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I have a old building and I just had all the inner workings of the toilet replaced in the back of it, in the tank. And again, it stuck because this thing that goes up and down that makes the water, okay, it got the white calcium on it.
Yeah.
It stuck. My bill was normally $91. This is a charity, mind you. 2 weeks, I wasn't there. It was $795. And that was
Wow.
on me,
Wow.
and so it can be devastating. So I know it's a devastating.
The only thing I would suggest is that the policy could say that we would allow the homeowner maybe 2 months or whatever for payment. I don't know if that's something we want to consider, a little bit of relief. I'm just asking for certain things
Well, we'll be switching to a monthly
which will make it-
billing, so that may
will help.
alert people
Right.
faster. But as I understand, in this situation, the city alerted you that didn't, because you saw the high.
Well, there was the initial third quarter billing, and then I think, as Mr. Christian said, there was some plumbing work done that sounds like it didn't quite fix it or something, or take care of it. And then there was another bill the fourth quarter that was also high because the softener was still running, is the way I understand it, or whatever the case was, where there was still water going through the meter. So
I think it transcended Q3 and Q4.
So it started in Q3 and then he got the bill and then it continued in Q4.
Has
Gary?
it been fixed now, Bob?
I'm sorry, what?
Has it been fixed now?
Yeah, it was fixed out when I got this bill here.
How did it get fixed?
I had the plumber Mark, and Gary knows who he is. He's talked to him, come out. But what he says, when I watched him fix it, first I had to check everything because I said it was a huge problem. And then in the area where it goes into the softener, there was particles that were in there that separated it, the valve or whatever you want to call it, and which made it run 24/7. And I don't get down there that often. But when I did, I went down immediately when I got the bill. I had the plumber come out immediately when I got the bill.
And then he replaced that valve, or did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It had to be replaced because the particles, it was bad. It was bad.
Gary, are you in agreement with the plumber, Bob's plumber? Do you?
about particles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's particles in there, but it's not from our water. I'm 99.9% positive there's not particles floating in our water. So,
Where would they,
especially inside, this mechanism the way it is, so.
where would they come from?
The disintegration of the
rubber.
of the rubber in here,
Rubber gasket particles.
it'll get eaten up, he said, by chlorine, and that stuff will eat these up too. So chlorine's very it's a corrosive chemical. So, that's,
No, he did tell you the particles, he did show you the particles. I mean, I seen them. There were little particles there. I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't happen very often. Thank God it doesn't happen often.
Well, there were particles. Whatever they came from, there were particles. So what if we do where it's not a fixture, but in this case, if it's a unit, the pump on the softener broke down, you would get like a 50% reduction on, well, when we go monthly on the 1 month. If it continues over a month, then
You don't know how much water the water softener has used versus your regular usage.
Right.
You know, it
Right.
gets really
Well,
complicated.
the resident would have to provide a bill from the plumber showing what was replaced, showing what the issue was.
I'm just asking for a half. We are.
But it was your fixture that malfunctioned, and now you're saying it should be our responsibility. And that's what I'm having an issue with, Bob, because it wasn't our water that created the problem. It was your water softener. And I have a real problem because
That's not what I understand.
but that's what our experts,
That's what I'm not seeing.
but our plumber is telling us that. And so there's a conflicting issue here. I mean, your plumber says one thing because of course they want to blame the city. And our plumber is saying that's not possible. I'm thinking 35 years of expert knowledge and experience with water softeners, that tells me a lot. And so I'm saying, wait a second, your fixture was the problem, not our water. And now you want us,
I don't want you to do it, I just want half.
now you want us to give you a credit because you had a faulty fixture. And that's what I'm having a problem with. What if somebody comes and, what if, Miss Claudia says, hey, I have a faulty
Well, most
toilet.
It would be the fixture, it was the toilet or
Well,
something like that. or
all right.
something that would be obviously the fixture.
All right,
But that's
so,
a ways from where the water comes in.
so, council, that's just my opinion. My opinion.
I'm sorry, but I would agree with her. I mean, we didn't help out people that had their sprinklers running. And I remember that, they spent a lot of money on water and, the department came out and helped them, solve that
Right,
problem.
right.
Which I think is a great function of government. But I just think we just can't do this because we won't be able to decide each one fairly.
Right. Anybody else? Brian?
I concur for the same reasons that Peter expressed.
Okay. Claudia?
I have to trust Bob is an expert, but I have to trust our city saying we have water that's rich in minerals and you have to, I think this would open up a huge Pandora's box. Because I don't know, I know almost everyone I know has had a situation like this happen at least once in their life, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it feels terrible, and I would love to, but I'm here to be a good steward over the city's funds. I'd love to pay for half, but no one has proven to me that it's our fault.
Right.
If it's our fault, yes, we should pay the whole thing, but I don't think it's our fault.
Okay. Anything else?
So the plumber, so I mean, I have a problem with the plumber.
Yes, you do. No, you have a problem with your water softener, Bob.
Well, that's a plumber.
So, yeah, well,
That is.
yeah. And again, being on the city council, as Claudia said, we have to be good stewards of our city funds. We have to be consistent in our findings. We have to be cognizant of future possibilities. So for all of those reasons, I don't think we can, I think you're going to have to pay the bill. And if you don't like it, you'll have to take it to court. I don't recommend that. because you won't win.
There's a check for the entire bill. I'm very, very sorry of the decision that is being made, along with a number of other people. Because whatever you were going to give me credit was being donated to the food shelf.
Well,
It wasn't the money, it's the principle. So
okay,
the food shelf's going to be very disappointed.
okay. Thank you, Bob. All right,
So just to the other aspect on here, no to doing a policy.
well,
I don't know how you do a policy.
yeah,
Like, I just don't know how we do it.
Yeah. It is, if I may, it is challenging, right? Because somebody could, use a lot of water for irrigation, but say that their water softener failed, right? Like every one of them would come to city council like this. So you'd have to
Yeah.
kind of be the judge and the jury on it and determine if you believe the person that's applying. The one thing with the policy, the way the LeSueur one was written, is that you get basically one and done. So one time adjustment.
but we have
That's-
2,300 accounts, so think about it, if there's
No.
2,300
Yeah,
accounts.
every 1 quarter three this year says, oh,
Yeah.
no, but.
No, so exactly. So
Including myself.
yeah, it'd be challenging. It's not that we couldn't do it, and we likely wouldn't get that many requests because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do it. So it's
I think Kathleen has a point, and so if,
Unfortunately,
We'll
there's
pass.
100,000 gallons of water that was wasted, and I'm assuming now that it's a dead issue, and as they used to say at the opera, the fat lady sang it's over.
right, correct, okay. Sorry, Bob. All right, so no policy, we'll just deal with them one-on-one as they come. Okay, all right, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the St. Bonnie Fire Department budget reconciliation request. We've done this before.
I'm sorry, Lisa, forgive me,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Okay,
So we don't want to adopt a policy like LeSueur? I think that was really clear. Like, we're not touching your water bill unless, I like that policy. You don't like
Mhm.
that? Why not? Is it difficult to do that? That seems real clear.
well, it's not much different than if they just come to the city council meeting
Just say
and,
no.
and you can address it one-on-one. You'd still have to do it. What the policy really does is it limit this policy in LeSueur, the whole point of it was to limit people from coming back to the city multiple years and requesting multiple years of, not at the same time, but multiple years of bill forgiveness. Because we were running into,
Just reading that policy would make me go, oh, okay, it's wasting my time. I'm not going to bug the city.
That's you.
Really?
well, I mean, okay, who, what,
I mean, does it cost us to implement that, have that letter? I love that. I would read that once and go, well, they're not going to pay for this. I'm done. Not going to go.
I think what Kathleen's point is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you have this policy, then people might think they can come in.
Good point.
So maybe not having a policy, and they still would have to come in and,
I defer to your wisdom. Thank you.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay.
All right, there you go.
That was so, yes.
Are we not-
Yeah, we are in agreement. Now, thank you for hearing me.
Okay. All right, are we, then we're agreed.
Because that was painful.
All right, good. All right. All right, next, then the St. Bonnie,
Yeah.
are we ready to move on? Any
No,
other?
let's go to some
Okay.
good
They spent less money.
This is good. All right. Jasper.
yeah, Madam Mayor, members of city council, we get this request whenever the reserve fund is above 10% of, or greater than 10% above the operating cost, sorry. So this year, they finalized the 2025 revenues and expenses, and they came in $44,367 that got added to the reserve fund that met the threshold of being 10% or greater than 10% over. And what they ask is if we want to either have it go into the reserve fund or if we want to have it be have a reduction of our bill. And just a little history, generally, we've always just put it in the reserve fund.
What is the reserve fund at right now, percentage-wise of the, let's say, 2026 budget?
Well, the reserve fund is at 102,000,
Okay,
which is the budget. Brian has to do some quick math in his head of what 80% of whatever we pay this year is. It's probably 20%. what is the, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure.
Okay, it just,
But it's a significant amount. The deal with St. Bonnie though too is they generally pay cash for their
Right.
equipment. So
that was
that's,
my next question.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just, they're not necessarily related to this, but on that, our council did approve the 2 duty officer vehicles.
Okay.
So,
And that'll kind of eat up the full 102 probably.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
well, they also have a capital fund that they use that money for those types of purchases. The
Okay.
reserve is for, they can move it into capital if they want. But it's just there for
okay.
reserve.
So of the so it's a $44,000 amount that could go into the reserve fund, or if we request it, we would get 80% of that. It's actually 72% of it.
No, we would get the 44,000 is our portion of
Was our
what's
portion.
left over. Yep. So if you look at the letter, you can there's a lot of numbers in there.
In the past, it's only been like a couple $1,000.
Yeah, it's from smaller
And
amounts.
so it's been pretty
What we
small.
just said, yeah.
So we've just said, fine, just keep it. But if they have a capital, if they have a capital budget, and then this reserve fund is for something else, I guess we'd have to find out what the reserve fund is for. What
In
are
the
their
past, he's used it for, their,
Furnace.
thank you, the furnace in the garage, they needed to do that. They did the concrete outside of the building because it was all eaten
I
up. So,
remember that.
in the last few years, he's used it very judiciously to cover stuff that wasn't budgeted that needs to be
Yeah.
done.
Do they have any plans for 2026 for using the reserve fund?
Mm-mm.
Because if it's at 102 right now, and then this other 44,000 goes into it, we're talking nearly 150,000.
I
I'm
don't,
just wondering,
I don't believe so. They will be getting a new chief at some point though.
Right.
So I don't
Because I'd
know.
almost have the question if if they've got good plans for it, it's great to help reduce like next year's budget or keep next year's
Right.
budget at a good level. But if they're starting to like just build it up, it's no different than like our general fund policy on that 40, if we start to get too high, it's like, do you spend down a little of the fund balance to offset
Right.
needing to, in a case, charge our taxpayer, our residents as much in taxes, so they'd have the same type of thing, charging the partners in the fire or us, I guess, and townships. Or,
Well, here,
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine using it to pay off our bill.
Well, and then we do have that request for the new laptops for the police department, which,
and that was budgeted
Mhm.
too.
oh, was it?
Yeah, that was
Okay, I
budgeted,
didn't
yeah.
miss it. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Oh, well,
budgeted.
then,
But I would be, because it's a fair amount, I would be more comfortable having them use it towards our contract. I mean, am I
yeah, I
off
think that
or,
makes sense.
again,
If
in
there's
No,
the,
I mean, last year we rolled it over and then Watertown Township and Laketown Township took theirs towards their
Yeah.
contracted amount. So, I mean,
and we rolled ours in and I think it was
Yeah.
a couple thousand or something, 4,000 or 5,000 or,
no, there was 5 figures last year too, I think.
was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I think we should.
maybe timed, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking 44,000, that'll cover a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, especially since we want to hire another police officer and that wasn't budgeted for.
Mhm.
I think we should, put it towards our contract this year.
Well, the police officers budgeted this year.
Yeah, it was more last
It
year.
was
when
last year, it
authorized
wasn't
in
budgeted,
25,
so
it
just-
wasn't, yeah.
I thought we had one budgeted, I thought we're higher, well, anyhow.
We have 16 authorized police officers. Last year we were at 15. We authorized 16 without.
You're
budgeting.
correct. We threw it in at the end
Yes.
and adjusted things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, but in 2026, it's fully budgeted for.
Okay,
So-
okay. All right, so we'll just use it towards our contract. Is everybody okay with that?
That
All
makes
right.
sense.
Okay, good, thank you. Anything else that? Okay.
No.
So we can be adjourned and then at 6:30, we will be back here. Hopefully not have a big crowd.
I can't see across the parking lot.
I know. Earlier, Jasper asked if Sarah should be here for our regular meeting. I said, if you really get her, she's here in person. 4 o'clock, I called and I said, tell her she can participate remotely. So anyhow, all right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Ms. Refkin, is there a second? Thank you, Claudia. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0, and we will be back for a regular meeting at 6:30.
it's winding
No.
down, at least I